Hey folks, it's me, it's me as promised. Let me stick you into my thing that I'm not going to tell you what it is because it's so embarrassing. Whatever. How are you? You know probably how I am because I've been like choking you with lip syncing videos and teasers. For example, a 4-minute teaser about a 31-minute show. No more. It was fun. If you own those teasers, then I guess you can sell them on eBay in 20 years. So anyway, you know I'm unscripted. I walk into these things blindly. I may think of, while I'm doing dishes, as I've said ad nauseum, like I'll be like, oh yeah, well I guess I could sort of like start with that or something, but then there's that other thing, and then the thought stops until I sit here. So how are you doing? He asks rhetorically, but only technically rhetorically, because I do care and I do expect an answer. Whoa, getting weird. So I thought I was gonna I thought I was going to talk about some other stuff that I said like, oh, some of it's gonna have to be in Pig Latin. Well, no. So anyway, who cares what I was going to anything? Because if I didn't do it, and kind of like saying you're going to do something and not doing it is, mental master. See that bait over there in the fish bucket? You get it. So actually, what I guess I want to talk about is, first of all, what's not going to happen on here anymore. Besides this cheesy, this is the best lighting I can do, and it's my private space because it's one of two small lofts. We have two master bedrooms. The lofts, the washing area stuff, 3-level staircase, cathedral ceilings in the living room, which is horrible for acoustics, and a big kitchen, which is an open floor plan, so that's no good to me. And so we have 3 bathrooms. So there's the guest bathroom, and it's 2,000 square feet with a yard, 2-car garage, but all we have is that tiny, good acoustic guest bathroom. So that's where you have seen me like ad nauseum, doing episode numbers that I'm now forgetting, by the way. So I'm just going to do like blah blah whatever, but I'm not going to do episode number whatever, because I actually intend this, or may intend to hope this just is kind of going to be a continuum. And so writing episode number 34 is kind of ridiculous. You know it, no, I know it. So I tear up. It's not from crying, but the older you get, I think that the tear ducts get a little looser. Anyway, so here's the deal. Like I said, I'm not going to do these teasers. I'm not going to do lip syncing anymore, because that's also ridiculous. What does that have to do with the theme and the intent and point and impact of my show, my sessions? Nothing. It's Sean like being, you'll have to read the end of the book why Sean does that stuff. And I know that's cryptic, but you're going to have to get a hold of the book, which is not profit. I need to say that, and I'm going to probably say another couple disclaimers. So again, we've established this is not for profit. These are donations, meaning if you have a reason to need to have the book and you cannot afford the book by definition is a donation. So I welcome anyone who is interested in my book, but, for example, cannot afford my book. You are entitled to my book, because my intent is not to make money. I am certainly not going to make it off of YouTube, and we have approximately, not that it really is germane, oh my God, across the, excuse me, approximately $70,000 in medical bills currently, and we have 3 screens, MRIs coming up. And of course, if you don't, that they charge maybe like $35,000 for an MRI, and then we get the butt end at 20% from Medicare with no supplemental. So, um, another thing I'm going to, excuse me, not do, like I said, is that like lip syncing. 1, copyright infringement. 2, you have to edit it to nothing. So that's not going to happen. I've gotten it out of my system, person that I will about to be addressing for a moment. Yeah, I've always been like, a fairly excellent lip syncer. I didn't use it in my drag. I did not perform in my drag. And let's talk about drag. I started drag in 92 through 93-ish. I was a regular going to Manhattan every summer if I could, because I knew a guy named Duke Todd who was fun and cute. And he was, into, you don't call it the underground. It was just in Manhattan. It was just social life at after 6 or 11. So I used to frequent the Pyramid in the lower part of town, which is extremely popular, as some of you will know, in Manhattan. Pyramid. And this is about the disclaimer about the lip syncing. Anyway, so I've got that out of my system, man. Dear Miss Thang, because I never needed to get it out of my system like some. I did my drag. I had my drag brand, and I did it to become a writer subterraneously, which I was successful at doing. And I had, for 1 year, I had a center spread column, etc. and so on, because I did drag. I was in ET, and I did drag to become a writer. Let me keep this really short. Being a drag got me 6 figures a year, because I learned how to write on deadline, and I was a social worker. I was not a drag queen. I was a drag queen after being a social worker during the day. I don't know where this is going, but Rui, you know what I mean? With all due respect, Rui. I was the guy, like, clinking cocktails with you in 1986 at Pyramid. It's not germane to anything except that I started getting interested in the drag thing, around that time. Pyramid, standing next to you, having a whiskey sour, and sort of kind of eavesdropping on your conversation one night. It was the summer of 1986. I don't know how you could say you were out of town or whatever, and there's no incrimination going on here. I am making an observation, girl, that I know you're queen of everything right now, but you and I were not queen of everything. You had a very entertaining, colorful drag going at that time. And I commend you for being so progressive in your drag. And I congratulate you on your success anyway. So that disclaimer is about not doing lip syncing. And here's the serious disclaimer that I'm going to truncate to the best of my ability. And it is serious. I'm trying to not make it everything too serious. I was an ET. I am influential to whatever extent to a lot of people. Generally, those are people that have either seen the movie originally in a certain age bracket, or their children or offspring or loved ones that came from their family, who were brought to it by the original people who saw it. There is a phenomenon, obviously, of grandchildren going with their grandparents to see E.T. And even, believe it or not, because there are actually great grandmothers taking to see their toddlers to see E.T. So I don't know, just like medication takes 15 years to hit the market from the clinical trials for no reason. And so therefore the doctors don't know this updated information because it's 15 years old, because pharmaceutical companies are keeping it from getting to the doctors for nefarious reasons. And what did I say? Oh my God, I said I was not going to, well, that's kind of quasi-political-ish. So those disclaimers out of the way, except I am Robin Hood, hashtag I am Robin Hood Press. That is a theme that you will know when you read my book. The no holds barred means that I'm really an open book. I can't be bemailed or any of that stuff, because everything that I did or whatever said, you know. I through Facebook, hear, or will know in my book, period. But I do have an impact on youngsters. Whether we all like it or not, I have an impact on youngsters, obviously, because this movie will live in perpetuity, probably as long as we're able to not abuse the privilege that we have on this planet to live with animals. That is our only privilege, is that we share this planet with creatures that we are decimating. Isn't that fun and uplifting? So point being, because of that impact that I have, I tend to be a little glib about my early years. And there needs to be a disclaimer or a point made, or a offshoot of a point, that these things that I talk about casually, meaning, glibly, casually, glibly, if you haven't heard the word glib, same thing. But like glibly, it's kind of like, you shouldn't have said that kind of thing. And I've been very glib about all these naughty things that I've done. And when you read my book, it is like not a downer, but it's like very expository. And then it gets kind of dives deep into some horrors, names, and then it kind of comes up into an uplifting thing. And then there is a shock at the end. So I want to recognize the fact that I do have impact on youngsters. And so youngsters, if you are looking at this out of curiosity, or because I was an ET, or because you saw hashtag Robin Hood, and you're a Robin Hood fan, you know that Robin Hood stole from the rich to give to the poor. We all know who those people are, and we all know that concept. It's really 1, 2, 3, and 4. And that is the name of my press, Robin Hood Press. That is why I hashtag everything Robin Hood, do the math. And my book is called The Slaughtered Princes of West Hollywood. This is about the unliving of young men in West Hollywood, in particular, the unliving of many young men that I was witness to, and I should have been one, but I wasn't. And so I have nothing better to do, Hollywood, than just sort of, make notes. But the real point is, when you hear me, youngsters, or anyone ever under 18, that's why I always make my videos age restricted, preferred restricted, whatever that thing says, is because I recognize that impact. My book is a PG-13 reading. It only says the F word once or twice, but the reading material is very deep. It's not depressing, but the subject matter is very, very, very disturbing. That being said, when I promote my book, even though it only has 2 F words, it does not mean that this is a happy, happy book about E.T. There are probably 2 chapters devoted virtually to ET, and that's fun. The rest is really could trigger. Okay, it could trigger. A lot of what I say here can trigger. So, point being, when I say that I was driving stolen cars when I was, after, like, right after ET, because I was a partier at 14, 15, 14. Please don't do the math on the 14 and the 15. Yes, I was doing that, and I was tearing up the town, and I didn't need substances or liquids to be a madman at 15. I just was raging, and if you read the book, you'll understand why my raging led to being such a hellraiser. Like full throttle for 14, 15 in Hollywood. Do the math. But when I say those things, if y'all are watching that may, be like wondering about, what you should be listening to or who you should be listening to or what's accurate or what's propaganda and stuff like that, please don't do what I did. Please, please never, ever do what I did when I mentioned those couple things. Because it leads nowhere. It is horrible, and all kinds of horrible things can happen to you, like literally from doing it, like smashing the stolen car. But it's also, it's like I'm telling you what not to do. It's not because I'm broken, because I did it. I just trust me on this one. How about we do that? Just if you believe if you believe that I'm being genuine with you, trust me on that one. Don't do any of those things, and don't do the other things that I wasn't doing. The substance things and the liquid things. I wasn't doing that to need to be a hellraiser. So young, things happen to me that you will read in the book. And actually, whatever. I mentioned it the other night. So there's that disclaimer, right? And we've covered Rowie. And what time is it? 17. Okay, so I'm going to really try my best to keep these things at 30 minutes max. Because even though I deep dive and it's interesting, it's like, it becomes a docu-effing-mentary to me. When I'm seeing, 46 minutes, it's just like a friggin' documentary. But if you, again, email SeanFry66, excuse me, at Gmail, just let me know. Whatever, let me know, whatever. So should we drop that? I cover that. We only have a certain amount of time. So this may be an issue, not an issue. This may be a discussion about something that requires many more details, and it is actually nowhere in the book at all, because it is well after I met my husband when I got that parking ticket with my clipboard working for the county. Obviously, because my book ends at 26. My son was not even born until 2003, so you can at least it's one more book or another series. Moving to Tucson has not, in the long run, in an overarching kind of way, been a good thing for us at all. Not at all. We were driven out of Los Angeles because we were paying $600 a month in HOA fees on barely a one-bedroom. And that was in 2018. Guys, I don't even recognize the town. I grew up there when the Hollywood sign was like falling down. I lived there. I would live in Schwab's pharmacy with my dad. Like, oh my God, the coffee over and over. And now I drive. Last time I was in Los Angeles for the ET premiere and my mother's funeral. I literally was driving and I was at an intersection and I absolutely forgot. I mean, I couldn't recognize where I was. I swear to you, I looked at all four corners and I did not know where I was within the city. I mean, the inner area. And honest to God, it took me at least a minute to get my bearings. So that's not my town anymore. We were driven out. Um, so we were driven out for several reasons. That was the main reason. We put our finger on a map and we chose Tucson. Tucson actually had a billboard at the corner where we lived in Universal City that said, "Come to Arizona," and it had a picture of Tucson. So I should have really picked Scottsdale, guys. I didn't say that. Anyway, the reason it has not been a good experience for us in an overarching way is as such. The school system is horrendous. So horrendous that they accepted my son, who was at a certain level in Los Angeles, also being like, a statewide award-winning vocalist who actually also soloed with Ziggy Marley at the Roxy on Sunset Boulevard. So we bring my child with 4 years of ballet, 4 years of modern, and 1 year of sophisticated, like you can't get into that academy part to dance. I have a video. To this city. I don't want to offend people in the city because now I have like 2 people as friends in the city. I will get to that. With all due respect, Tucson is what we in Los Angeles call a one-horse town. Y'all have 500,000 people here. That's maybe like what? Boys Town and West Hollywood kids, right? Not. I mean, West Hollywood population has got to like blow that out of the water, right? But we got like, Pima County that's like 600 continents and big. So, it's not what we were used to. And we had to move out of Los Angeles for financial and other reasons. We came here. The school system was so horrendous. They accepted him in a completely foreign format of math, where they were at with English. And they paid no mind to the fact that my son was at those certain points, not levels, but their focus, for example, would be on this kind of math and only this kind of English. Well, my son would focus on only this kind of English, but not that kind of math. Point taken. So Sean being Sean is Sean. Okay, just trust me on that one too. To in the interest of brevity, Sean has kind of like this supernatural, like ridiculously, arrogantly put, supernatural ability to make things happen from my brain to my mouth into the air towards a person, a telephone, or a keyboard, email. And so the school system was so horrible, and I begged for 2 years, catch up, have somebody monitor or look at his homework or whatever. Then I started spending hours with him on his homework, not writing it. And it was failure. It was anger. It was total inappropriateness. So I got the principal fired. We won't go into that because Sean's done that type of thing many times. And this was chump change to me. I got all the way to the superintendent. I actually got the principal fired probably within a week. And that left us still nowhere because he was 2 years behind, but just in a different direction that they chose to take with their curriculum. So yes, he pushed himself across the stage. Yes, he made it through. Yes, the grades were a lot of C's, except that at my private school, I got a D- in chemistry and a D- in physics. So I'm not losing sleep. But so for that reason, it wasn't a good experience. We tried desperately to make friends. Well, not desperately, but we were desperately hoping to make friends when we came here. We bought one condo, then turned that over into a large house that we are house poor, meaning you don't have nothing, but you got a nice house. So we were in that place, and that we have now been here nearly 8 years, like as we speak. Excuse me. So suddenly, like magic, when we moved coincidentally into our new home here, there's all these friends falling out of the friggin' sky. You know, they're at the coffee shop, they're at the lounge, they're at Walmart, they happen to live like 2 blocks away from you. So then, cut to, we are now a year-ish ago or less, having now 12 or 13 friends. Like, oh, wow, man, who gets so lucky? And we're meeting at the lounge and having whatever coffees or whatever. And then they start coming to our home and bringing us food, and we will cook also, and we would laugh. And one was a premier mixologist, and he would, like, be fun with his, funny martinis or whatever. And it was like that. It was good, I thought, and it was very healing, I thought, and it was very nurturing, I thought. And then, as you know, my husband had a horrendous health episode, which has affected everything. Sidelong, we were a part of a GoFundMe, and that was to relocate to Western Europe because my husband is very ill, and that just, as we know, did not work out. However, believe it or not, even though I panhandle, that $3,200 that we raised on GoFundMe is still in an envelope in a broken little black cash box under my bed. Every dollar. Now, I may want to bring my husband to London for Christmas soon, this coming Christmas, when my book drops, my second book, because we're not going to live forever, and we love Christmas in London. So I'm sorry if much of that money does not help us relocate to Europe, and I have a whole show on that, why, about Europe and their welcomingness of Americans. So that didn't work out, but it will go to a very good cause, and until such time, it is in the envelope in a little broken black cash box under my bed. So I'm just going to let you know that there was this academic nightmare. There was this horrendous health scare. So then I brought in, like, whoever I could, because I am not a doctor, but I have extensive experience in the clinical arena. So I'm like being proxy something I can't even say I'm being proxy, health-wise and care-wise, here, when this hit. It hit because there was a like unimaginable medication mix-up where he should have been taking one thing and went months thinking he was taking that, and that was what he was supposed to keep taking, but he was taking another one and no one knew. And I was seeing the medications, but I overlooked 4 versus 2 or 1 rather than all 5 for many months, not several months. And that kicks in a schizoaffective behavior. It doesn't mean like you're permanently demented, but schizoaffective is like, it's like mini schizophrenia, like blasts. And that started happening. And then I'm like, oh my God. And he's like, oh my God. And like, it's oh my God. And then, oh my God, that can kill you. That should have thrown him into seizures. I'm grabbing at straws. There's some like homeless person that is, was, I guess, supposed to be a former nurse. I'm grabbing him because he's sleeping in his car. I'm a social worker. I can't let like a nurse sleep in his car. So then he gets involved in caregiving, and a roof over his head, but he's helping, and then that blows up in our face. And then another person before that, health-wise, advice-wise, or whatever you want to call it, blew up in our face. So, and then we're scrambling. I'm trying to. You saw if you're on Facebook, the ups, the downs, the ups, the downs. I don't know. We're losing him. He's fine now. I have a video I can show you of him, sharp dressed, clear as a bell, and discussing what actually happened in retrospect during that period. Point being, all 12 or 13 of those friends bailed. They bailed. I don't even know why. I know that they got really, a few of them got like enraged. Uh, like a guy that like has like a transplant issue that my husband would call at least a year every morning to just make sure how he felt, because a lot of it has to do with exhaustion and stress. And they would talk every morning for a very long time. This person ended up full throttle attacking us in a text group. And at that point, I thought, oh, wow, wow, what kind of freaky ass one horse town body snatching place is this? Then guess what happened? In short order, all three of the other 11 friends like just fell off the face of the earth. They weren't texting, they weren't calling, I wasn't seeing them. And this is exactly where we are at right now. We have two friends, very close friend of Michael's, and I'm sure I have a friend somewhere, and I honestly don't even know if I do, so it could be one friend. And we're at 31 minutes, and that is, I'm going to leave that with you and with me to think about, because I think about these shows after I tape them. I really do. Because, as I said, it's really weird, guys. I literally feel like I'm in a room with you with one person, or 50 people or 300 people or two people, and I'm just not bearing my soul. I guess it's just candid. I guess it's really, really candid. Anyway, I do love you guys. For whatever reason you think weirdly that I do. I love what you represent to me. I love your patience. I love a lot of things. So, as usual, I'm going to reach over very untechnically equipped and grab the phone and turn it off. And here's the moment. So, I do love you guys. And I'm going to take it out of the... Do you want me to admit to you what I've been telling you that I didn't want to tell you is holding my phone prior to the tripod? Here you go. A toaster, a vintage toaster. So I love you guys, and I'll see you tomorrow without a teaser.